Wait a minute, Adam. You haven't seen Pathfinder?
You really haven't seen Pathfinder, Rich?
What about Pathfinder, Nathan?
Let's remedy that. Welcome to Raised by Spoilers, everyone, where we watch and unpack Pathfinder, some of them Path,
and most of them Finder.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Welcome back, everybody, to Raised by Spoilers. I'm one of your hosts, Geek Movie House. Joining me tonight, or actually this afternoon, we've got a special guest. Nathan Mudab Adi is back from the sands of Arrakis.
Yep, that's me.
That is the last episode you were on, wasn't it?
Yep, I hate sand. It gets everywhere, and it's coarse, and you know the line.
We've got the feminist warlord herself, Nintendo Geek,
Hello.
and my co-host, yours, mine, and forever, Plebeian Adam.
I am here because I found my own path here.
Tonight we watched the epic Viking Savage. Savage? No, tonight Saga, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's one episode, so it's not really
one
movie.
episode. Yeah. Jesus Christ. We watched Pathfinder. The 2007 Karl Urban film, starring Clancy Brown.
It was starring Urban with Clancy Brown.
I mean, it was Clancy Brown with Urban just kind of in the movie.
Well, it was a bunch of Clancy Browns as all the Vikings.
All of the Vikings were Clancy Brown. As historically accurate and based off of a true story as they come for 2007.
I was just dripping with sarcasm.
Just dripping with sarcasm on that one. Pathfinder was a film. Do we want to do the plot, or we want to go around for a quick hot take on what everybody thought?
Well, just say Karl Urban found his path.
I mean, he did. Spoilers, he finds his path at the end of it.
Let's go with so the movie is all about a group of Vikings landing in America, what appears to be the more northern area because there's snow and ice and stuff.
Right.
And it seems as though they are looting and pillaging, wanting to wipe out the land so they could settle.
And the Native Americans just won't leave them alone.
Yeah.
With splashes of Conan the Barbarian and a whole lot of inspiration stolen from Frank Frazetta paintings. Or inspired, I should say.
Inspired by them. They're not nearly as good.
No. But still, hyper stylized or gritty, film grain, kind of washed out scenes.
It looked like there was a lot of scenes that could have been painted on a piece of paper, but it was moving.
With bad 2007 Photoshop in a way.
Oh yeah. This thing removed all saturation from all existence throughout the entire movie. It was just gray.
So, Nintendo Geek, what did you think?
I think it looked very much like a mid-2000s film, when everything was, like you said, more dark and gritty, like think Dark Knight, like you said, 300 earlier.
300 came out a year before.
Yeah, so very dark, gritty, bleak. I don't know, it was good, it just had a lot of jumping around without a lot of context.
Did you like the movie?
It was good. I would say it's a very good Sunday afternoon. You catch it about 20 minutes in.
Yeah, the old TNT.
Yeah.
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 But would you go out of your way to watch it again?
I don't know. I do like Karl Urban. It is young Karl Urban, like you said, like freshly out of a couple years after Lord of the Rings. So he's like peak physical, you know.
Yeah.
Not that he isn't now, but you know. I don't know if I'd rewatch it again. If it was on, I would.
But not on purpose.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
How's our Conan Nathan? How do you feel about Pathfinder?
No, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I really liked looking at it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the visuals were really cool. There was like a scene where what stuck in my head was there was an arrow being shot at one guy, and he goes to put his hand up, and it goes through his hand into his eye. And that was, I don't know, it was my favorite part.
I don't even remember that scene because there were so many fast cuts of just violence.
Violent,
It
fast
was
cuts
very
and
violent.
CGI blood and gore. Like, at one point you see the guy's brain, or like people are dying and there's blood splatter, but there's no actual blood pools.
Yeah.
Like,
you can never... I think my only negative to the action side of it was they were clearly going for, holy crap, that's violent. But I couldn't tell everything that was going on in the violence. Like they wouldn't let you sit in the violence. So nothing felt too gross.
They wouldn't let you marinate.
Yeah, they wouldn't let it marinate. Like they chopped off a dude's head and it was gone a flash of a second later.
there was action gore, but there wasn't horror movie gore.
Yes.
Horror movie gore where you're lingering, right? There is serious movie gore where you don't even really see the violence or the violent act happen.
Yeah.
And then you have your characters walk in and it's just the aftermath, right? Mm-hmm. Blood all over the walls, people clothing drenched in blood, and you're dealing with the aftermath of the trauma and oh no, like that looked bad.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's the slow motion car crash where this felt super action movie. The guy never runs out of bullets, and everyone's covered in bullet holes, and their shirt's pink because there's so much fake blood.
Yes,
but there's never people running down a hallway and slipping because everyone's just bleeding out.
Yeah.
Right. There's like the mop. You don't need to bring a mop for this movie.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's blood splurting on the screen everywhere, but it never seems to be on the floor or anywhere else.
Right. Because you do get some horror movie. I mean, Evil Dead is notorious for bringing in the mop, but there's a lot of horror movies where it is like where people are getting their hands and fingers and arms and like tops of their skulls chopped off.
Yeah.
Obviously, the go-to is Kill Bill, where the blood spray, right? But that realistically, you'd be bleeding out.
I felt like that was done because Kill Bill was partially a parody.
It's a parody of action anime and other.
Yeah, whereas this one I don't think was designed to be parody. It was designed to be artistic.
Yes.
I guess Kill Bill was artistic parody.
Right.
But still.
Well, and that's, I think, the takeaway with this movie is we kind of kept going through the whole film, and we were kind of like, what is this off feeling? Yes. What is this weird feeling we can't put our thumbs on? What are we, like, we all kind of stopped for a second and like, what the fuck? And I think we both kind of said, we realized, 300 came out a year before, so this is a big action movie. And I honestly feel like it almost took itself too seriously. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't a score that was recognizable enough to say like, hey, this is Karl Urban's action moment or hero shot.
Yeah.
Where he stops, pulls his hair out of his face, and the sword is glimmering, and he's about to go do the thing.
Yeah. No, you say that, but there was one scene where he emerges from the water, he does a hair flip, and then he takes somebody out at the kneecap.
Yeah, but that was also in the trailer, on the poster, on the advertisements, like.
And I think the most important part about that was the hair flip.
Right.
He did have one scene that was like that right before they undercut the shit out of it.
Right.
Which was when he was slowly, what we so kindly called the Endor scene.
Yep. Right.
Where he's taking out these Vikings with big, cool traps. And then he's set up a trap, and they set up this Chekhov's trap. And they're like...
They did some great shots of, underground, there's some spikes.
Yeah, and he's sitting up on a hill taunting them to come to him. And that was a cool scene. That was a very, kind of like the poster of Star Wars, like the hero on a hill with his sword up. They had that moment.
Well, he had the helmet.
Staring off at
the helmet saying, I've killed many of you.
Yes.
And you are not as strong as you think you are.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So they had that was a hero scene, and then they undercut it. But
right. Well, we didn't get the setup. So we had the love interest and Karl Urban, Ghost, we'll call him Ghost.
And we just assumed they were a love interest.
Right. They really kind of just forced it all together.
The plot told us so.
Right. There was very little communication. There was one line where it's a rival is like, "Oh, you think she's beautiful, don't you?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Yep.
Like, "Yeah?"
Yeah. And you couldn't tell, was it someone he also liked, or was it his sister?
Right.
Not Ghost sister, but this other like competitor.
Right.
Who was he?
Right. Then another, I don't know if it was tribe or group. They didn't introduce enough. In a weird sort of way, they spend so much time setting up the village. They set up the tribes. They do a pretty all right job with the cultures and stuff.
Yep.
I would say.
Well, it's clearly an extreme exaggeration of both cultures.
Right. Indigenous and
Indigenous and Viking. Like it's very clearly not meant to be, this is what they were like. No. This is what the myths talk about.
Right.
And how the myths treat each one.
Well, they were called the dragon people, for Christ's sakes. Like there is they wore armor and they're unpierceable and you can't kill the dragon
of metal.
People. Right.
Sorry, I just did a little research. 300 came out a month before this.
So they had no idea they were making this together.
So
well, I'm sure
think
you had
about
people
that.
on crossover.
Everyone would have went to 300, seen huge, crazy, oh, this has never been done before. And this came out literally 1 month after that.
Oh no.
That
So
tells
they
you-
had the
Oh
competition.
no.
That explains so
There's
much.
a lot of because well, it's the same thing within 2000s as it is the 90s when we did Brotherhood of the Wolf and we talk about the Matrix movies.
Yeah.
There's the inspiration, the ripoff, Dark City.
Yep.
All of these films have touched and rippled out.
Yep. Yep.
Where all of a sudden we're not going to do 300. I mean, we've all seen 300 times at this point, but there is this Hollywood competitiveness that changes the landscape, and then all of a sudden we get where we are now, where there's a shotgun blast of superhero movies.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Right.
right. And I just noticed something in the what they were talking about here, that the director is known for music videos, and this makes total sense now.
Well, he went on
Oh,
actually,
with all the cuts
director,
on cuts.
the cuts on cuts. The director himself went on to film and work on the Conan the Barbarian remake with Jason Momoa.
Okay, I haven't
And
seen that one
it's
because
good.
I kind of avoided it.
It's fine.
It's fine. You got to understand, like, the thing with Conan the Barbarian is it's almost a little over the top on purpose.
Oh yeah,
Like,
sure.
right? Like, they kind of look at it, it's tongue in cheek. Conan the Barbarian, Robert E. Howard wrote and first published in 1932.
Got it.
So this is a very old character, and that's why it's so important and where he kind of touched and inspired so much. So the fact that this guy clearly grew up as a teenager or a kid reading Conan the Barbarian and then later directing Pathfinder and then going on and
Yeah.
working on the Momoa version of it, which was okay. It wasn't amazing. I don't know. We'd have to watch the Momoa version versus this to really compare, but they're
Yeah.
different stories. You can
it's
really
more
get those
fun-
shots though of Urban running around in loincloths with the big steel sword and his long hair dripped in sweat and the muscles. You get
But I
what he's
think
looking
that fits
for.
really well. Like what they're talking about is because the director has like a history in metal music videos, that this totally plays off as that. And now that I understand that, now that I see that, it makes a lot of sense. This guy would make a badass Metallica music video.
Right. Nathan, you were saying something.
Oh yeah, no, just things like this movie and Conan. The plot isn't super thick. Like it's very
none of
basic.
them
God,
are.
no.
No. Same thing
but-
with the originals with Schwarzenegger. It's not. It's you're.
But
you're
they
there
are
for the ride. You're not
one-
there
yeah,
for the
they're
substance.
wonderful to look at.
Right.
And that's exactly what this was. Is from the beginning they had this great scene really early on where the woman, they had like the horse rearing up and it was very silly. I was reminded of what's the guy who does Sin City?
Frank Miller.
Frank Miller. No.
Eli Roth.
No, the guy who does the movie.
Yeah,
The
Eli
direct-
Roth.
No, the guy who directs the movie. He did the new DC movie.
Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Zack Snyder. He reminds me of very Zack Snyder type poses.
I don't know if Snyder did Sin City.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Frank Miller.
Frank Miller drew it and wrote it.
Yes, but I'm talking about
is-
directing the movie, Sin City movie. Frank Miller wrote the comic. But
Robert Rodriguez.
oh, it was Robert Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez.
No,
the
you're
guy who
thinking
did-
as Zack Snyder did 300.
Oh, you're right. That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
That's where Robert
Oh.
Rodriguez.
Did I get those two mixed up? Wow. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So no, I'm okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I know. No.
Holy shit.
You got to remember too, though.
That really put a stop to my thought process.
No, because you got to remember, in a canon in 2005 to 2010, all of those films came out.
Yeah.
And it was a shotgun blast of Frank Miller selling off his properties.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
like, make movies, please.
To
Right?
do everything. They had there was this great shot where she kind of fell. There was the whole silhouette of the horse, and that was great. And then she kind of was running and in fear of this destiny, right? That was coming because the horse kind of represented destiny, or fate or whatever.
Fate, death, her father, or however we...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she falls, and then it pans up to this like the head of the ship of the Viking longboat, and it's got the dragon head. It was just this great pan of like, yeah, these are people to be feared from the very moment before you even see a Viking. They're almost animalistic and mythical.
Something alien.
Yeah.
Something mythical. Something invasive. Because the beach is ripped up. There's
Yes.
bodies everywhere. Trees are even fallen. Like it is a massive destruction and a force.
Yes.
And there's bodies everywhere.
And I
And that's where
love
she
it.
finds young Judge Dredd himself, Karl Urban.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think this movie does really well is its dialogue sucks. Except for a few moments.
was rough. It was rough. Some
rough.
of the lines, in every man's heart, there are two wolves fighting.
I'm pretty sure I read that on Facebook before.
All right, Facebook. Well, no, a lot of it was, double entendres, and a lot of it was some cheese. There was a lot of cheesy one-liners.
Well, there is the great mythical scene where the old Pathfinder was underwater with the other dude, and he's like,
all of a sudden we got magic force ghosts.
yeah, but he's
This movie
underwater.
gets weird.
It was a dream. Thank you.
Was it?
The worst line that I thought of was that scene, that mythical scene where he's underwater, slightly drowning, and
I'm dying.
I'm dying. He's like, well, don't complain to me about that. I'm like, the fuck was that?
Yo, bro, come on. And it's like, oh my goodness.
Time
man,
to wake
the
up
fuck
now.
up.
Punch.
Yeah, and he punches him in the face.
But
Punch
so,
for the ghost.
the dialogue wasn't, but I almost found it, you're right. It was better when no one spoke.
Right.
If no one spoke throughout the entire movie and it was all just like, mystical hand gestures, or at least if the wolf himself didn't speak, that would be pretty fucking cool.
Or if they did it in like the native language, but kept the dialogue to minimal. Like I'm talking about like native Viking, native American, like whatever dialect you want to pick, but like keep it at a minimum so that you can tell people are talking and you can kind of get the gist of what they're saying without understanding the words, and then just go on with the movie.
I will say we did have the moments where the Vikings themselves, they made the creative choice of them not speaking English, which was very refreshing because we're sitting there and we're like, oh shit, we have to read subtitles because they're foreign, they're alien, they are the enemy, and they're not going to speak the same language. So you're not going to hear the get over here, like this guy. You're not going to hear any of that like grunts and squeals. It was just these huge wild hunt motherfuckers coming in with these boats. None of it really made sense for Viking culture. So I love the
Bears with
setup
tusks.
and the approach and the beginning of like, long ago there were legends and these are the clues we had from our past. Come along on a journey. And it's like, this is all bullshit. Okay. The Vikings aren't like capturing slaves. They're not exploring. They're just slaughtering. We're here to hunt.
We're here to kill.
Why are we
The
here?
most dangerous
What are
of
your
game,
motives?
man.
We need to kill. What's the goal?
They
we're here to
mention
kill.
they do mention they want to kill so they can settle.
They can still settle.
Yeah, but they want it to be their land.
Well, the thing is,
Guy, I know.
It's a very,
the knowledge
very
we
weak-
have now versus how the writing is.
No, that's what they say in the movie directly.
I know that, but I'm saying Canada and the United States and like just Quebec in general
Oh,
is massive. So like there's a
Landmass.
lot of killing going on for the 12 dudes that are in the movie.
you have to travel days just to see another person.
Right, that's what I mean. That's where it kind of got a little goofy.
I think they went on to that whole narrative being like, oh, we're just going to slaughter everybody. Because when they originally got there with Ghost's father, his ship, the original ship, the Native Americans just slaughtered them. Like, they took them out before they could take them out. So, of course, it's like, oh, our party never got back. They must have gotten killed. We're going to go over and just annihilate.
Yeah, I don't think it was so much like a slaughter, like the natives slaughtered the Vikings. I think
They defended, yeah.
They defended, but because it sounds like they still treated the Vikings as monsters. Like, holy crap, we didn't expect how powerful they were. So I don't think it was a slaughter. I think it was a conflict that the indigenous won.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Pathfinder itself was based off of a Norwegian film. It was nominated for Academy Award. Follows loosely the same story, not as action-packed or sort of action-packed, following a Viking boy who is adopted by a native tribe.
Oh, it's not Starfinder. What was
No,
her?
Pathfinder up top. The Norwegian, 1987.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Dark Horse, too.
Yeah, the American Saga is the Dark Horse comic.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the American Saga. Yeah, I don't know.
So was
Overall-
it very similar, just less action?
No. It's more of the Viking tribe coming in as an invasive species or the invasive invader.
Got it.
And then it's less action,
Yeah,
less
yeah.
romance, less.
I mean, I don't know if this movie had much romance.
we saw some ass.
Yep.
And maybe a little bit of side boob.
Like
But
there
there
was
was not
romance. There was one woman that you see once, and then the ghost goes, "I like her."
I like her.
And then there's another guy. It's like,
Wow.
"Whoa, you like her, hey?" And then later on, they're like, "Yep, they have sex." It's like there was no romance. I didn't feel like there was chemistry between those two characters.
Yeah. You're right. It was rough. There were some parts of this where that is kind of rough.
That's what I mean. Like
Like it's fun when it's like Karl Urban killing Vikings in the woods.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it tries to give heart and some levity and some 2 feet to stand on,
Yeah.
it doesn't. And it really kind of falls apart. Like, it's a fun, I don't even call it fun. It's a gory video game
Yeah.
stunt.
We keep going back. Like, there's these. Obviously, I'm not giving this a bad score, but I'm not giving it a great score because they did. What's hilarious about this is I don't see very many movies like this. Usually, movies all together, the audio, the video, the character, the story, all of it, the acting is usually either good or bad all together. But what was weird about this movie is the visuals and the visual storytelling. The visual storytelling were fucking phenomenal. Like, they were great.
Oh, beautiful film to look at.
Beautiful.
For its time period, beautiful film to look at.
Yeah, acting was meh. The characterization was terrible, and the story was rough. But it looked fantastic.
And to go off on a bit of a side note, you were saying that the sound was weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, that might have been either the Blu-ray or I don't think it was the setup either.
it wasn't the setup because we've had movies with
Yeah,
depth and stuff
we've done
like
this
that
before.
But what I found weird was the audio didn't give you a sense of space. So when someone was talking closer to the screen versus further from the camera lens, right? For closer, the sound still sounded like it was coming from an audio source connected to the camera. Like, it didn't sound like it was coming from sound within the space of the area. It sounded like it was coming from some ADR type thing.
It's all ADR.
Yeah.
Because they did it probably on location, filmed what they could with the action scenes. Right. You have a lot of, like, what, you can't have Karl Urban just breathing heavy as he runs through the woods.
I mean, you could.
You could. I would be down for Karl
I
Urban
also
breathing
thought
heavy.
that the sound effects were very sudden and very loud. Like when the bear came out, like I jumped a few times only because the surprise, like, oh, like this is like a jump scene where like the Viking comes out of nowhere or the bear, and it's like, holy shit, like that scared me because it was just so loud and just so like abrasive.
Cheap.
It was cheap.
Yeah.
It was cheap.
Yeah,
It
the
wasn't
bear
them-
was the worst.
Right. It wasn't
Yeah.
them being like, oh, fuck, we're hurt. I'm bleeding out. There's a bear. Right. You look at The Revenant, like you said, that bear fight comes out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you're like, how are we going to get out of this one?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What they should have almost had is instead of a shock bear come out, they should have had a low growl, like echo in the
hear it
cave.
coming, and we turn.
And then you just see the glowing, because this is very mystical, right? So you could have glowing eyes, not like a yellow glow, but like light coming in. This way you see a monster coming as it slowly fades into light, as like you see what it is, and they're just afraid of this thing.
It's springtime. That bear would be starving.
Yeah.
And it would not have waited to attack the one person that like went down. It would have attacked like everybody.
I think that was the mystical. I think that was the Pathfinder himself, like drawing the bear to him. I think that was more of a mystical thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it also displayed finesse, not force.
Yeah.
You have to
Which was
outthink
what
the
he
enemy,
told
right? And that's what comes back.
Ghost at the end of the movie being like, "Oh, use the strength against, use your enemy strength against it, and see like how well it happened. Like, you know, stop trying to just go for it and just let them come to you."
Yeah.
Right.
Because their strength was brutality and just like brute force.
Yeah.
And he used that. Their brute force of trying to get over the lake got them caught in the lake. Their brute force of just going over the mountain got them fucked up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's one of those ones where it's not necessarily a bad movie. I will definitely say this is junk food.
Yeah.
Like, this is junk food. This is popcorn. This is just a popcorn flick. And it's not a bad popcorn flick. They handle indigenous people, I would say, honestly, all right.
Considering they were going for the mystical version of it,
Right.
totally fair.
Right. I think the Viking aspect of it is just it's cartoonish at some point.
I love
but
it.
Also heavy metal, and you do like they do the full on Vikings with the horns and the skull faces and all of this. It's not
And one guy makes an eagle noise at some point.
one guy makes an
That
eagle
was-
noise, and we laughed our asses off. But I mean,
Well, okay, that was funny because every eagle or every Viking was all low grunt, and then there was just one guy going, "Caw-caw!"
Well, he had like a falcon or eagle that was attacking for him.
Johnny Falconer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him in the credits.
Well, Johnny Falconer really saved the day on that one. Yeah.
I think they did a really good job on the costume work. Like I think a lot of the budget was location and how much detail they put in, especially for the Vikings. Like every helmet was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every outfit was different.
Yeah.
Those Vikings to me, here's the deal. I have a soft spot for Vikings because I don't know. Even though I'm Canadian, so I consider myself Canadian. I don't really go, oh, I'm from this, blah, blah. But I have the body type of a Norwegian dude. I'm a big white dude with, bald with beard. And so I have a soft spot for that. That's what I like to think is my heritage, but really I'm just a Canadian. But I really love their portrayal in this. I love when people treat people not humanoid. They didn't treat the Vikings humanoid. They treated them bestially, like they were
these
beasts.
big mountain men, black shadows that move through the woods and kill.
They were bears with tusks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I completely agree with you. Their outfit, I wanted every single time I saw a Viking, I'm like, I want that in my house. I want to wear that.
Well, you want to flip through the concept art book of this.
Yeah.
Where you want to flip through and be like, God damn, the photos, the set stuff, right? Like, you guys are all right. All of it. I keep saying, it reminded me of the Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
So much. From Witcher 3's Wild Hunt, it's all metal, it's less chainmail,
it's less European like the Wild Hunt and more northern.
Yes. Yes and no, because you got these guys,
and more horns than the Wild Hunt.
Right.
The Wild Hunt had like spiky metal.
Right.
It was all metal.
Right.
So like that was more European, knight's armor brought to the cold, brought to the north. Whereas this felt more northern, more, the mountain men.
Right.
I guess you could say.
Yeah. With like the boar tusk helmets and shit.
Yeah.
Like, there was some cool costume design.
And they had some great cinematography where the helmets blocked most of their face, and they also had the black eyeshadow. So what would happen is if you combined all that and you got the right footage, you would see just like this cool metal helmet, this cool shape, and then just the eyes, the white eyes.
Maybe some like the bottom part of a jaw when they spoke.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought that looked amazing.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it made them less human.
Yeah.
Funny story. I wrongly assumed that this was about the Pathfinder game. So in the beginning, when I remember saying out loud, oh, where did the monsters go? I honestly thought that when they first were fighting the tribe, it was really dark. Like, it was like a flashback. And I just seen like the horns and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, these are really good orcs.
Yeah, these are amazing orc costumes.
For the first like 10 minutes, I didn't realize it was Vikings. I thought they were like this like supernatural like
orc tribe.
Yeah, that's why I said, where are the monsters? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
This isn't about the role-playing game at all. Like, I'm sorry, we bought this for Adam for his for Christmas. I'm like, yeah, there's a Pathfinder movie, and no idea, nothing to do with Pathfinder.
Well, I don't think we mentioned at the beginning of this, but this all kind of comes out because Rich, Amanda, you guys are a fan of D&D because I introduced you to D&D 5e. Whereas I've always gone back to my old ways of the game Pathfinder.
Right.
So we've always had this joking kind of like, oh, mine's better than yours.
There's a friendly.
This would never happen in Pathfinder.
There's a friendly. It's not even a pissing contest as much as it is just a flick.
Yeah.
There's a few flicks in the dicks where it does. The joking comes through. But
this all comes from the whole reason we're doing Pathfinder is because there's no such thing as a movie based on the Pathfinder universe, the Paizo Pathfinder. So we're taking this game, this kind of. You guys brought it as a joke because it has the Pathfinder name, really.
I didn't know it wasn't about it, so I wasn't in on the joke. I've been telling people, yeah, we're going to do the Pathfinder movie. It's great. And they're like, what?
So, yeah, there's that. And then we're also about to go watch D&D, Dungeons & Dragons.
we're going to have a few more
Starring
drinks
We're going to have a few more
Irons.
drinks.
before.
Yeah, that one deserves more drinks.
D&D.
Yeah, so we're going to do that one. So this is kind of I guess it's a pathetic versus, but not really, because they're not the same tone. They're not the same world. Nothing's the same except for they both have different titles that compete.
I would say you can classify both as an adventure movie.
Yes.
But
no, this one doesn't go on. He doesn't go on an adventure.
It's a revenge mission.
It's a revenge.
I mean, anything's an adventure when you think about it.
That would be like saying
He did go on. He did leave. He did leave home with his friends.
I guess, but
He did get laid.
Did he? Well, I mean, that is an important part of the hero's journey.
I put this in the same category as Die Hard. That's not an adventure story, right? He stays in one area.
Not a
Sure,
fun romp through
sure.
a building on Christmas.
But is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Are we?
Why are we arguing this?
Yeah. Okay. Good. We all agree.
Okay.
all
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We don't have to fight over it. Okay. Good. That makes life easy.
Can I?
I don't have to storm out.
Can I be honest with you guys?
Yeah.
I like pineapple on pizza.
I've never seen Die Hard.
What? You've never seen Die Hard?
I haven't either.
I've never seen Die Hard.
I don't think I've seen it either.
When you grow up a Jewish kid,
Is this going to be this year's Christmas special?
no, I mean it can be. I'm also not Jewish, but
I think this needs to be this year's Christmas special.
we could probably do that. Yeah, we'll talk to Alex because Alex wants to come back on the show. But I've actually never seen Die Hard.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen any of them.
What about Die
All
Hard
I've heard
2?
is like, oh, Die Hard's going to change your life, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever need to see Die Hard.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like,
I've heard it's great.
I
and
know what it's
everybody
about.
in
I've
good.
seen clips from it. Like it's.
You've not seen it either?
No, me neither.
Oh, for fuck's sakes!
Three
All right, ladies
three
and
out of
gentlemen.
4 people in this room have not
Welcome
seen
back to
Die
Raised
Hard.
by Spoilers. Bruce Willis, we love you so much, and it's a shame for how your health has
Yeah.
gotten.
Yeah.
Because what a legend. But
So-
let's get back to Pathfinder.
Yeah, so this movie, it only grossed 31 million compared to the 45 million budget.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
When you're
Not-
up against 300 and people are actioned out,
I think,
it's tough.
and I think that's a huge
Yeah.
point with this. Like, if 300 was not around to this at all, I think it would have done all right. Would it? It's not a 300, so it wouldn't have done as well as
I
300.
don't think it would have gotten
It may have done. I'm gonna throw out a number, but like maybe 30% better.
I think it would have made its money back, and then something. Like, it wouldn't have been a cult movie. It would have been like, oh yeah, we all know this movie. It did okay. It would have made money, but it wouldn't have been like holy. It wouldn't have been what 300 is, where 300 everyone talks and reveres about it. This one wouldn't be revered, but it would be like, yeah, it's actually pretty okay.
Well, you got to remember too. 300, unfortunately, was like a pop culture phenomenon.
Yeah.
This is Sparta. Tonight we dine in hell.
You
so
also
many
have
names.
Gerard Butler,
Yep.
Karl Urban.
Right? Like Karl Urban, not to be thing, but we all went, oh, Karl Urban from Lord of the Rings, 2002, 2003, Return of the King. We get to Pathfinder, and Karl Urban had done what? Like, he wasn't a big household name yet. He
No.
wasn't on The Boys. He wasn't Judge Dredd. He wasn't on Star Trek.
But
Like-
a lot of Karl Urban stuff is minimal. So he sort of he doesn't play continual characters over and over and over again. He doesn't get famous for that kind of stuff. He plays really good one-off characters that don't get a second movie.
I don't know. He tried.
He
this-
was on 3 Star Treks.
He
That's
also,
bullshit.
No.
Oh, yeah.
He also was
That's
in.
bullshit.
There was a series called Almost Human or Becoming Human. It was a TV show. It was a cop drama in a near future where he partnered with an android.
I don't
What?
remember what.
It
are you
lasted.
talking
It lasted
about?
1 season. Let me.
So my point being here is, I don't think Karl Urban's a big enough name to sell a movie in 2007.
Sure, and no one knew who Karl Urban was during Lord of the Rings. Like, he got a good role.
He was in it.
He was in it. Okay, people learned his name. Like, obviously, he went from 0 to like 20%, I would say, of
Well-
notability. But it wasn't until Dredd, I would say, that he got really notable.
But the problem with Dredd was nobody fucking seen it.
sorry.
It flopped. Dredd flopped, and everyone loved it. It became a cult movie because it was great, but also we had
That's
Leah
too bad.
Hemsworth or Leah
Headey.
Leah Headey from Game of Thrones, and Karl Urban, who was doing Star Trek films. Right?
okay.
People now associate Karl Urban with either The Boys, Billy Butcher, or Bones from Star Trek.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's too bad. Like, I think
They're
Karl Urban
all
did
good.
fine.
He's done great films.
And I
Like,
think-
Karl Urban's a good actor. He's a fun action star.
Yeah, and I think he did like, okay, like I said, the acting in this wasn't top notch, but I don't think it was the actor's fault, because I feel like the actress Moon was really good, but
Moon
she,
Bloodgood, which was
fucking amazing real life name.
Right.
Yeah.
Holy shit, what a good name. But I think like she was a very good actress, but she wasn't given the best lines. She wasn't given the best roles. Like this, I think the writing failed
I think she
them.
had like 4 lines.
Yeah, and I think the same was true with Karl Urban. You could tell sometimes when in a movie you can see when there's a good actor being given bad dialogue, and I think this is one of those cases. Even a lot of the secondary characters got the same thing. I think the only person who killed it was
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown, but that's
Clancy
because he
Brown.
was given some cool ass shit.
Right. Nintendo Geek.
You know what's funny? Also, he's from New Zealand, not Australia. How dare you? No, actually, he was in Hercules in the 90s, and he was also in Xena.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
He
he-
played Julius Caesar on both of those. So I guess when he was younger, he looked like Julius Caesar.
Really?
Yeah, he was in Ghost Ship, Chronicles of Riddick, Born Supremacy, Doom.
He was good in Chronicles of Riddick.
He was in a lot.
He was in Doom, but
He was in Doom.
Let's not talk
He
about
was
that.
Reaper. He was Reaper in Doom.
Well, he played technically the Doom guy.
And he was the Doom guy, and then he was in Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
So he was the.
Oh yeah, of course.
The
He's in all the
series,
Thors.
the series I was talking about is called Almost Human, and it was from 2013, and he plays a future cop with an android's partner.
Interesting.
I have never heard of this.
It lasted one season. I really liked it, and it has the guy that from Pirates of the Caribbean. Do you remember the comic duo?
Oh yeah.
The skinny one.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
So what I will simply say with this one and some takeaways, because you mentioned phoning it in. None of the actors in this film so far, just from the first viewing, felt like they were doing it for a paycheck.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is a very good compliment I can give. Whether the material was good or bad, everyone there was not necessarily acting their ass off, but
They were present.
they were present. They were there. What they had to work with is what they had to work with, unfortunately. A lot of the shots either lingered too long or the way the the director edited just fucking jump cut after jump cut
Yeah.
after jump
It was
cut
really
after
hard
jump
to
cut.
follow.
It was hard to follow. There was bits where we talked about the Endor. We made the Endor joke where he set up a bunch of booby traps in the woods.
They're going to Home Alone him, and I discussed that Home Alone was basically Endor. Endor was Home Alone.
But we don't get that scene because instead we get the love interest. Right?
Yeah.
He's like running, then Ghost is running, then the love interest shows up. Starfire, yikes. Starfire shows up and they have like this brief talk about the wolves in his heart. They bang, and then the next cut is them in the woods, and all of these traps are going off.
And they're not small traps.
No, these are like this would
logs
take
hanging from a fucking
like
tree.
at least a couple hours to set up.
And
He dug a massive hole.
And that's with modern day
full of
technology.
spikes.
He's got like sticks and stones.
There's two of them.
And he's tired, wounded from an arrow thing. Like,
Yeah, he's got the arrow still in his back, and
Tired
he's like
from sex.
hiding. Tired, exhausted from sex, not the travel, the sex. And all of a sudden, there's like 12 traps in the woods that go off and kill a bunch of the guys.
yeah, and they're massive.
Massive. The hole that he dug with the spikes.
Yeah.
Where we don't get any of that. All of a sudden, it's just like, and then he hard cut, booby traps, death.
But it's
and-
like, it's hard cut one booby trap, immediate hard cut the next booby trap, immediate hard cut the next booby trap. And then between those, maybe you're getting like a random hard cut of him slicing someone's fucking neck or
Right.
stabbing
Yeah.
someone. It's like, it was too quick.
Right. There wasn't a shot of the dialogue where he's sharpening sticks or building the trap.
Yeah,
Right?
the montage.
Yeah, there was no montage.
The montage, we needed that 80s montage. We needed that 80s montage so fucking bad in this movie. We needed that. We needed the dialogue of like, do you think this will be enough? Do you think this will work?
Or
no you
dialogue.
should poison them. Or like blah, blah, blah. Like some sort of, I've been at it for hours.
No, all we got
Setting this
was
up.
them cuddling and then a horn going off in the background, which we didn't know if it was the ally that they left just to stay watch, or if it was the Vikings themselves. But it's like, oh, they're coming, and then they cuddled for another couple minutes, and then then a hard cut. It's the middle of the day,
Yeah.
and it's like, where did all that time go?
It's a little jarring.
I think
Yeah.
they needed to make because there's clearly two different ways that he took out the Vikings. There was the action scene where he, like, I guess air quotes, took them on face on with the traps, and then later on where he took them out with the environment and the world, like piece by piece, slowly. I think they needed to make a harder statement of the first way he did it fails, and that's because he was doing it the Viking way. Whereas later on, he should have done it more the indigenous way, and that shows who he is and the decision he makes that lead him to become the Pathfinder.
So this is going to be a wild statement, everybody. We watched the unrated version of the film, so I don't exactly know if the runtime's a couple more minutes extra, but I will say my takeaway with Pathfinder is it needed an extra 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It needed, not 30, it needed an extra 10 minutes.
Yep.
This film is very fast.
It needed more dialogue.
There's not enough dialogue. It moves way too quickly. And the jump cuts that you're in action, out of action, back into action, honestly need a moment to breathe. You needed a moment to see the destruction, the footprint that these Vikings made, a little bit more of their Obi-Wan Kenobi moments where there is you need to watch
Yeah.
before you run. You don't step on the trap we already set. Like the wisdom wasn't passed on enough
Yes.
even for the film to just take a second and breathe. And then little moments where we all kind of went like, what the fuck happened here? Or like that just, we blinked and we missed it kind of thing.
I think what they needed to do is either, you're right, if they were going to keep dialogue, add some more time to fill out the dialogue, or cut out the dialogue and let things be more mystical and give us more visual time for the things that they need visual. So they needed to choose one path or the other.
They needed to find their own path.
They needed to find their own path.
I mean, I did like at the end when they got back from the mountain, the avalanche happened, killed all the Vikings. Or did it? Ooh.
There was a woo?
I don't know. But
Save room for a
they
sequel.
got back, and it looked like he was going to be the Pathfinder because they're all touching him, and they're finally acknowledging him as like the strongest of the tribe, even though this is now the sister tribe. But he saved them ultimately, and then he ended up giving it to her. So it's like, her father was a Pathfinder, then his father before her. So like it kind of like.
I will admit I don't understand that because
she's pregnant.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, they had a baby. It
They
showed.
have a baby.
Yeah. I didn't understand that because they had so many like mystical scenes of the older Pathfinder showing him the way, handing it down. And he straight up said in one of the scenes, "You are the next Pathfinder."
No, he said, "You'll know who it is."
It's his baby.
Oh, the baby.
Oh, you're
It's his
right.
baby.
He did say that.
That's the whole thing. Was the white savior came in and was like, you have to pass this on to the next generation. It was about keeping the tribe alive. That's why they ran instead of fighting.
Yeah, okay.
Because the whole aspect of like, you're right. The sword will cut through our spears. The arrows will not go through their armor. We're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
We need to move. We need to survive.
Yeah, okay.
Right? If you think you can go on your vengeance quest and kill them all, my man, go for it. Good luck.
Yeah.
But there
you
was
know-
that hard stop where it's like, it's about survival and about family.
Because at one point he stopped
Fast
trying.
and the Furious, baby.
Yeah.
It
know
is
what?
about survival and family.
Family.
That puts a way better tone on how I was discussing the two different combat styles.
Right.
How the first one where he did fight him head on with the traps and stuff, and that proved to fail because fighting isn't the answer, and in fact it caused more indigenous people to throw their
damage.
lives into it, whereas the other method of hiding and running and just surviving against nature worked a lot better because that's their way.
This is your home.
Well, we're
not
talking
theirs.
like Civil War era where they do like Gettysburg lined up and like head-to-head combat versus like guerrilla warfare.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, that actually makes a whole lot more sense because the message wasn't fight our way versus their way.
Right.
It was fight or don't fight.
Fight or don't fight, but you can't out Viking the Viking.
Yeah, you can't outfight sometimes your job is not to fight, it's to run because you can't fight the Viking.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Sun Tzu wrote that in The Art of War.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I kind of hate to say it, but that kind of recontextualized some of the parts of this movie and kind of makes me like it a bit more.
That's good. That's good.
Like,
That's not a bad thing.
To me,
That's not a bad thing.
It's another more like, again, it's not dialogue writing that was good, but the writing, that just kind of bumped it up a little notch for me.
Granted, keep in mind, we are also picking this film apart completely.
Yeah.
Versus what it was.
We're a bunch of
what
crows
it
on a dead
was
body.
versus what we're like. So what he actually meant here was like,
But I'm okay with that because
Yeah.
you know we're all fans. Or at least I know I don't know about Nathan, but at least we're fans of Elden Ring and the Dark Souls and the Bloodborns, where the storytelling is kind of your storytelling.
right.
So I like movies like that where you have to put a little bit of yourself into the movie to make more understanding of it.
Right. I mean, it is ultimately what you take away from it.
Yeah.
Film, right? Yeah, it's fun. It's Pathfinder. It's an action movie. It's a popcorn flick. Do we want to go into eyebrows?
Oh, damn right.
Let's go into eyebrows. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a podcast within a podcast where we rate those eyebrows. We've been going through film history and different cinemaphiles' opinions. We'll start with Nathan. You're the guest tonight. Out of all the eyebrows, who's got the wildest?
The wildest would be the one who had his eye removed early in the film.
God damn, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Because it's not... If his scar is where I think it is, he now does not just have 2 eyebrows, he's got 3. Because
Yes.
1 was cut in half.
Yep.
So 3 is better than 2 as far as eyebrows are concerned. Fight me.
Do we have any arguments on that one?
Fuck no, I was going to say the same thing.
All right, the one-eyed Viking, ladies and gentlemen, was the best eyebrows in Pathfinder.
I've got to add that you made a comment, Nathan, when we were watching the movie. You're like, that's not how eyes work.
No, I think that was Rich.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah, because Nintendo Geek yelled out, it's like an avocado seed. Like it just popped out and rolled down the road, and we're all like, oh no.
I had just had avocado toast this
Oh,
morning.
you millennials.
So I had to actually, I couldn't get it. The knife I was using was too small, and the seed was bigger, so I was trying to get with the side of the knife. And then you're like, please, I don't want to go to the hospital. So I jabbed the tip of the knife and then twisted it, and then it came out. So
At least you didn't do that after the eye scene, because then you're going.
No, man, she's making like just staring eye contact and stabbing the avocado through the seed
No, I
into
have
her
done
hand.
that before.
Oh no.
I have cut my hand, by holding the avocado, doing that.
Oh
yeah.
no. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Pathfinder. We're gonna go one more time around the room. Nintendo Geek, what would you rate it? Did you love it? Did you hate it?
See, after discussing it and kind of like letting it, because we've seen it like less than an hour, like an hour-ish ago. I don't know. I did like it. I like Karl Urban in anything he does. It was nice seeing his face in this one, because like Judge Dredd, you only see like this.
See
Also,
his
he doesn't have the
beautiful
beard
lips.
yet. Yeah.
The beautiful Billy Butcher beard.
Yeah, he doesn't have that yet. I don't know. I did like it. I don't know if I would go out of my way to watch it again, but if it's on TV, I'd probably sit and kind of like if I had nothing else going on.
Wouldn't change the channel.
Yeah.
This is one of those like Sunday afternoon hangover movies.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's like if your dad's watching TV and has a movie on, he fell asleep on the couch, and then you just kind of like settle and you're like, okay, I'll sit in the room and view this movie.
Fair enough, fair enough. Nathan, did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it?
I think it's a solid scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
Like it's good. I enjoyed it. I'll definitely watch it again if it's on. I don't know. I'll watch Vikings fight all day.
Yeah.
Okay, you're all looking at me.
Adam.
I started this podcast, this episode, probably giving it like a 6.
Wow.
But
Wow. That's higher than I thought you were going to go.
Yeah, okay.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
He's got a
think-
soft spot for Vikings.
I
know he
first of all,
does.
I have a soft spot for Vikings. I also have a soft spot for artistic violence.
Sure.
But I have to. Okay, I want to make sure, because I make sure I try and say this every once in a while. My rating system works on 5 is the middle ground.
Okay.
So 5 is a take it or leave it. It exists. I thought it was. It exists. It did bring me feelings, but nothing special. It wasn't anything special. Anything like 2 or 3 is usually that was so fucking bad, but it was fun. Flash Gordon fits in the 4 to 3 category.
You gave Flash Gordon a 7.
Did I really?
Yeah, I think so. We don't have this written down anywhere, and I've got to go back, but you were like, holy fuck, what a movie.
No,
but also
I think Masters of the Universe, you gave like a 2.
2, yeah, because 2
Flash
and
Gordon you rated a lot higher
Yeah.
than you think you
Yeah.
did.
so the way I think of it is like a 2 and a 1 is this is so bad that it gives me no emotions. I hated watching it. Like I want my time back.
Right.
Whereas Flash Gordon, like 4 or 5 is like, okay, this was a bad movie. It doesn't fit. It doesn't follow movie trends. It isn't what makes a good movie. But its badness was so fun that I still enjoyed myself. Whereas 5 is all right. Yeah, it exists. It follows the trends. It's a Marvel movie. Like that 5 is like the new age Marvel movies.
See, I'm gonna have to go back and find out how much we rated everything. We should be
Yeah.
keeping score because Brother of the Wolf. Even I think you were an even 5 or 6. On
I was
that one.
probably like Brother of the Wolf would have been like a 5.5 or 6. I
Yeah.
think. And this one I think was a lot better. Like I'm giving it like a 6.5. Because I really enjoyed the visuals. It had one thing that I really like. To me, a movie is about its visuals.
Right.
So when movies fail to do good visuals, I'm like, why the fuck were you a movie? You should have been an audiobook. But this one had really good visuals. I just think its story, not its visual storytelling. Its visual storytelling was great, but its dialogue storytelling and the story itself was not fantastic. But the rest of it was great. And unfortunate that if it had better dialogue and better overall story, it would have gotten a much higher. But the visuals kept it to that 6.5. Everything else kind of dragged it down.
See, I would have rather they dropped the Indigenous thing. They would have leaned a little bit heavier into sword and sorcery, and they would have put this not in Canada. And if it was just a fantasy epic where a tribe is coming, a Viking tribe, the Dark Ones.
Yeah.
They're
Orcs.
bloodthirsty. Not even orcs, just the Viking dude. Don't change anything about this. the dark ones are coming.
Well, hang on.
And-
you could make this about actual Pathfinder, have it orcs, have it humans, and then the guy could be like a half orc or something like that.
Elves, whatever. Like, well, isn't that how Warhammer or World of Warcraft the movie was? That classic.
It's
Duncan
been a
Jones?
minute since I've seen
If
it.
if it wasn't a cult, if it's because it's not old enough, I'm not gonna make you guys watch it. But it's something you should watch because it's so fucking bad.
The Warhammer movie?
Warcraft.
Oh, Warcraft. Warcraft.
Don't
Oh,
they
I
do,
have. I've
okay.
ordered.
Don't they do,
I've
like,
ordered
the-
a late night Domino's, and I think it was years ago, and we were tweeting
It was
out. But,
awful.
what I will say though is, if they would have just dropped "It's a true story" and went with fantasy.
Yeah.
And not even high fantasy. Like I said, low energy, sword and sorcery. The bad ones are coming.
So low magic.
You're the only one, right? This is what we found you with, and it's the fucking magic sword or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just happens to be a Viking sword, and they can't, like, the tribe that they're with or something has to do with it. And it didn't lean so heavily on the indigenous, even though it was handled pretty well. I think I would have rated it a little bit higher. The Tarzan story works. The Conan the Barbarian works. I think there's some amazing stuff here that is fun to look at. I think it is junk food. I give it a 4, maybe a 5.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fine. It's fun. I look at, like, I've known Frank Frazetta paintings and shit. Like, I've got a couple of his stuff, his work. I think a lot of this it's heavy metal as shit.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the classic 2000s era of just putting anime music videos together. And it's got vibes of this movie or the one Mads Mikkelsen is in. I think it's called Valhalla Rising.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
If you haven't
yeah.
seen Valhalla Rising,
Where
it's
the hero's
fucking
silent.
wild movie.
That's a great one.
It's fun. It's a fun action movie. It's a Conan wannabe, and yeah, it's a 5. It's a 5.
The thing is, I'm on the same scale as you. I think my scale is just different because the way 7 is, I'll watch it again.
Yeah.
This is just shy of that.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad film. I just don't know if I would honestly go out of my way to watch it again.
No, I would not.
think I would watch a couple clips maybe if I was running or writing anything for D&D.
Yeah.
Just because there is some very cool moments, but the story itself falls flat for me.
Yes.
Where I don't necessarily love it. There's some great stuff to look at, but it's as soon as you get to the bottom of the bag, you still feel empty.
Yep. That's a great summary.
Which is unfortunate because everyone in it, Clancy Brown is fucking Clancy Brown.
He's awesome.
And he's a gem, and
He is
just a gem.
He is just as good in Highlander
as he
as a
is
villain.
as he is in SpongeBob as a villain. Goddamn right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Raised by Spoilers. We watched Pathfinder tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank Nathan for joining us.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me here.
Anytime. Nintendo Geek as always.
No problem.
Adam, where can they find us, and should people check out?
Well, in this episode we're basing it off the title Pathfinder only, and we are doing a sort of month to 2 month long theory. You might hear an ad for a partner of ours for Tabletop RPG. Enjoy those. We're all about RPGs here. Today we're talking about Pathfinder. Next episode we'll be talking about D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, the movie. But if you go to one of our classic episodes that came out recently, you'll hear more about Delta Green, A Call of Cthulhu. That's kind of what we're talking about here. If you have anything you want to talk about tabletop RPGs, we all love it, as we just discussed here. Pathfinder RPG, D&D, all that fun jazz. Come on our Discord. There'll be a link in the doobly-doo down below. Join us, talk to us, let's talk about it.
Do they want to find us on the Sepulpod app?
That is not mine to plug.
That is not your to plug.
That is Alex to plug. But you can join us on the Cephalopod if you want to listen to your podcast there. It is a great app. I personally use it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We'd love to hear from you in the Discord, and let us know what movies we've missed or haven't watched yet. Thanks again, everyone. Cheers.
I'm trying to think of a line from
What's a line from Pathfinder?
There are 2 wolves.
SpongeBob!
have
No, these
some
are
of them
great.
good. You didn't put back the most of them bad.
No, because we're doing, and most of them Pathfinder.
Oh, so sorry, the cord was in the way.
Oh wait, welcome to Raise by Spoilers.
I got it. Don't worry.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, we
What?
changed it for the ad that we did last time.
Yeah, this line is weird. Welcome to Raise by Spoilers. Should be. Right, should be.
What are you talking about?
Oh wait,
That's correct. Let's remedy that. Welcome to Raised by Spoilers.
Yeah.
Where we watch and
Yeah,
unpack
yeah, yeah.
Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Some of them good, most of them
We're watching
Pathfinder.
Unpack Pathfinder. Some of them. Yeah, here you go. Let me correct this one.
Some of them Path, most of them Finder. I think that's better. I think that's better. Some of them Path, most of them and most of them Finder. Oh no.
I mean they did say that quite a bit, being like, you need to find your path. Don't
They
worry,
said the
I'll-
word.
the path. I'll be on the path. Find your path.
There's a word for that when they say the name of the movie in the movie. I don't know what it is. I was
Yes.
hoping one of you would.
Not a fucking clue. All right.
All right, count me in and we'll go from there.